Wherever the topic of drug cartels arises, the listener's subconscious mind tends to envision large-bodied men or muscular and tough arms. However, it won't take long for you to change your overall perception after watching this video. Women have proven themselves to be capable of even better feats than men in many male-dominated fields. But the question remains, can they shine in the realm of drug trafficking as well? In today's video, we intend to delve into the topic of the most dangerous female cartel leaders, Donalty, whose real name was Leticia Rodriguez Lara and was from Veracruz, Mexico, led a life of crime and delinquency. When she reached adulthood, she was known as a professional criminal in southern Mexico, and based on the region under her control, Donalty's rivals addressed her as the queen of the area. Donalty's story becomes even more intriguing when you realize that prior to engaging in trafficking, she was a federal judicial police officer. After a few years, she resigned and joined the El Chapo cartel, immediately becoming a trusted and favored individual due to her fearlessness. The subordinates of El Chapo were very cautious, as their lives were more important to them, and these were precisely the qualities that Donalty lacked. Her level of violence was so extreme that other cartel members would say she was insane. But Donalty didn't hold back on brutality, eventually becoming the leader of the cartel. Interestingly, alongside Donalty's cartel, there was another cartel that would kill all their enemies and dismember their bodies during their celebrations, earning them the reputation of being a demonic group, and all other cartels feared this group. However, Donalty not only didn't fear them, but even managed to eliminate this group single-handedly. Perhaps she is now arrested and imprisoned, but the impact she left behind still sends shivers down the spines of all criminals. Angie Saclemente Valencia. Angie Saclemente Valencia was arrested in 2010 on charges of drug trafficking. Well, that's not very surprising, but what catches our attention is how she acquired millions of dollars from the white powder produced in Colombia. Angie was a beauty queen who won a competition, but was later found to have cheated and was disqualified. She married a man who was notorious in the world of human trafficking. They managed to form a cartel together, but it wasn't enough for Angie, and they ran into trouble and separated. She decided to create her own cartel, but used attractive models who were her beautiful angels. And few suspected them. She paid these individuals $5,000 for smuggling cocaine from Argentina to England. She continued this operation for years, until a team of these angels was caught with a suitcase. This suitcase contained 121 pounds of cocaine, leading to her arrest in 2010. After serving 3 years in prison, Angie was released in 2013. Jamaica Thompson. She was given the title of the Queen of Pine. When crack became an epidemic, she rose to the top of the cocaine trade in Los Angeles. When she was a child, she was thrown out of her home and had to find a way to protect herself, which led her to team up with mom Daphne Moselle to start a cartel. They began a lucrative cocaine smuggling operation, and this collaboration ended in their marriage, resulting in a son. Moselle was killed in a shooting attack on her car, and Jamaica expanded her husband's business, selling drugs to celebrities. During this time, she met a man who gave her the nickname Cheese. When they separated, Cheese sold her out and informed the authorities. Jamaica was on the run for nearly 2 years, but in 1993, the police were waiting for her at her son's graduation party and arrested her. Clara Elena Laborín La Ciela. She was the beauty queen of Sonora. She married Hector, one of El Chapo's associates. After a while, her husband severed ties with El Chapo, and in 2008, Clara started working in the money laundering business of her husband. In 2010, she was abducted by a rival group and blindfolded, with her hands and feet tied up and guns pointed at her. They took pictures of her. And after 13 days, she was released, and she returned and continued managing the financial operations of her husband's cartel for another 4 years. Eventually, her husband was arrested, and Lara, to prove herself as the head of the cartel, started an unbelievable bloody war. In the end, she was arrested by authorities in 2016. Indina Aranoflix. She has a distant relationship with Sandra Avila Beltran, who was recognized by the Drug Enforcement Administration as the world's first female drug trafficker. Her entire family was involved in the drug cartel, and they all wanted to start a cartel called Tijuana together. Indina was involved in money laundering for this cartel behind the scenes and obtained her accounting license from a private university. Her brother managed Tijuana and engaged in violence and bloodshed. It's no wonder that eventually the federal authorities came after them, and in 2008, Indina was forced to take over the leadership of the cartel. She transformed from a cartel leader engaged in smuggling to an international figure collaborating with other cartels and corrupt government agencies. She was highly respected in the criminal underworld. Sandra Aria Beltran. She was known as the Queen of the Pacific, the title by which everyone recognized her. In 2004, she was the inspiration for the Queen of Southern Mexico. She was a legend. She smuggled tons of cocaine on fishing boats for years without being recognized. She was born in Culiacan, Mexico, into a third-generation family of drug smugglers. Her family had connections with powerful drug traffickers. She married 2 law enforcement officers who later joined the cartel. Her first husband was killed in a shooting, and the second one was stabbed during the drug wars in Mexico. In 2007, 30 federal forces agents arrested her during a lavish dinner. But before they took her away, she remained calm. She drank coffee and convinced the police to allow her to fix her makeup to look good for the camera. In the arrest video, she pushed her hair back and smiled at the camera. In one of her court sessions, she told the judge it was better to call her Queen Javier. She was released in 2015 and continued to live a peaceful life. Graciela Blanco. However, among all the women we have introduced, Graciela is the most dangerous, overseeing one of the deadliest cartels in the world. Her name is alongside drug legends like Pablo Escobar, Frank Lucas, and other drug folklore. Graciela had many nicknames, such as the Black Widow or the Cocaine Godmother. She transported cocaine from Miami to New York and Southern California. When we talk about her drug transportation, it's not just once or a few times. It's about successfully transporting cocaine for 30 years on these routes. The path to joining the cartel was one of Graciela's main goals from childhood, as she apparently kidnapped a child in Colombia at a young age and attempted to extort her family for ransom. However, the girl's family did not take the contact from a child claiming to have kidnapped their child seriously, which led to her anger. She killed that girl, and this bloodshed was repeated many years later, as she shed the blood of many of her drug rivals. Her preferred method of killing was drive-by shootings, which can be seen in her case file with 40 to 250 counts of murder. One of her husbands was among her victims, killed by a gunshot due to one of her drug deals. Blanco's distribution network in America generated a monthly income of $80 million, but she was arrested in 1985 and spent 20 years in prison. After completing her sentence, she was extradited to Colombia and met a poet's death, shot by a motorcycle-riding gunman.